I played cards with some friends that night. In the first half of the night, I got up and hit the point all the time. In the second half of the night, all the points were played, the cards appeared on the table, and the iron cards were broken. In the morning, I was the first to be drawn stand. I walked away and wanted to squint for a while, but my mind was so confused that I was awake and numb at the same time. As soon as I closed my eyes, a hand of cards appeared, and I couldn't sleep. At this time, a call came from the mailroom in the courtyard, saying that I had a telegram and asked me to pick it up. I was too lazy to go, so I asked him to read the telegram over the phone. The telegram was from a city in the south. The content of the telegram was, "My friend so-and-so took a certain train on a certain day to Beijing for a wedding trip. They expected to be treated as warmly as they were to myself." It was signed Ming Song. I put down the phone and happily drank tea, while urging the dealer, who wanted to push the hand of reject cards, to play it. Fatty Wu complained, "It must be you who did this shit again. After you seduced a girl in another place, you left all my addresses. Now that you're done, people will pounce on me when something happens. Can I bear it? Don't rely on me." Fatty Wu said after asking about the signature of the telegram, "I have never known anyone who dared to call Ming Song. You blindly check the dormitory room as soon as you go out, and whoever you catch and leave your address for is a human being or not. Just pat your chest and say, if anything happens in Beijing in the future, you can come to me. Yes, they have come to you. You are stupid again." I asked a few people here who remembered who Ming Song was, and they didn't know. How can there be a good person with such a name? Liu Huiyuan raised the card and said, "I don't recognize Ming Song, but I know a few of Ming Denga. Everyone, love whoever you want, and don't bother with him. How can it be done?" I said, "How can it be over if we don't even know what the bride looks like?" Black-hearted, everyone said, cruel. I happily looked for the train timetable, and found out the arrival time of that train. It would arrive in 1 hour, so I hurriedly put on my shoes and changed clothes. If anyone calls me, just tell me that Marshal Kang is having a meeting and I'll be there. If you need anything, come find me there. Are you wearing leather pants? Don't go there because the guards won't let you in. If it's a man, we'll beat him out. If it's a woman, we'll confiscate it on the spot. I wrote a few bold words on the shoebox cover, all in dialect. Hold it up to the crowd at the station entrance. People leaving the station and picking people up looked at me like I was a fool. Regarding the house, I was indeed stupid. I stood in the station square for 2 hours in the biting cold wind, and no one came to acknowledge me. The order at the station was more chaotic than I thought. Many trains were arriving at the station in the morning. The trains that were supposed to arrive at the station in the morning were arriving one after another, mixed with the trains that arrived on time at noon. Passengers from all trains leave the station at the same time like a flood. There is no way to judge who is the train you want to hug based on the station notice, so you have to ask one after another. I held up the showbox lid in front of each pair of decent-looking young men and women, and looked at them eagerly and expectantly. In the end, I no longer even picked on their looks. I even picked up on the uglier women, but still found nothing. I was exhausted when I met a friend who came to pick up his girlfriend. He pointed me to the arrival train timetable hanging at the station, and I discovered that the train timetable I was reading at home was out of date. According to the new timetable, The train I picked up would arrive at the station in 2 hours. "2 hours is quite annoying. If you want to go home, you have to walk back to catch your breath. If you stand in the square and wait, it is really unbearable." I came out and put on thick clothes, but by now the cold wind had blown through me, and my toes were numb. I have to find a warm place to eat something. It was lunchtime, and all the restaurants near the station were crowded with people, noisy and clamoring for food. There were piles of greasy and pickled leftover dishes on the table, soup and vegetable juices were flowing all over the table, and the smell could make anyone go back when the cotton curtain was lifted. So I took the bus for one stop and went to the bustling streets around Chongwenmen to look for a restaurant. Wen's restaurant was crowded at this time, but it was in good order, and the tableware and food were generally clean. The price was expensive, but at least it didn't look disgusting. To smoke my brains, I ate a plate of so-called spaghetti, drank a bowl of so-called American soup, and then bought a can of real Chinese beer, and sat at a window seat to soak in the so-called spaghetti in a bright and warm fast food restaurant. One of the men and women sitting next to me, who were also drinking and spending time, nodded to me, and I nodded to him. He pulled out an empty chair and invited me to come over. I walked over to them with a smile while holding my own wine and sat down with them. Everyone at the table nodded. "What have you been doing lately?" the man asked me with a smile. "What are you doing?" "The Indian Ocean is fine." I asked him with a smile, "What are you doing?" "It's okay." The man said, "I haven't seen you for a long time. I heard that you have been in the South recently." "Oh?" I responded vaguely, staring at a pretty girl at the same table, who was teasing a bearded man next to me. "I heard you made a lot of money." "No, no." I looked at the second girl and thought she looked average. "Just send it, don't be embarrassed." "What the hell, what's the point of being embarrassed after I've made it?" "I want to make it, but I'm still sitting here after I've made it." The third girl looked like a frozen persimmon, red in the frost. "You're a boring person. You don't tell the truth to your buddies." "Really, really." I looked away and looked at the man. "Everyone has seen you, carrying a bag of money to book a room in Guangzhou,